This tutorial will show you how to use the Temperature Range Check and Thermal Comfort Report plugin developed by DesignBuilder Software Australia. All verification methods in the 2019 NCC Section J include a check of thermal comfort levels during the hours of operation of the building. In addition, Specification JVB requires that when modelling a reference building, the air conditioning must be shown to meet target temperatures during the hours of operation. The definition of hours of operation in the NCC is hours where the occupancy of the space is greater than 20% of the maximum. There are prescribed occupancy schedules for each building class in the NCC, and so there are prescribed hours of operation for each building class. The Temperature Range Check and Thermal Comfort Report plugin for DesignBuilder will assist you in quickly and easily calculating the total number of hours each occupied space in your building model meets the target temperature and thermal comfort values, and whether or not the building as a whole meets the temperature and thermal comfort requirements in the NCC. The plugin produces a report with 3 tables. The first table shows the results of the temperature range check. For each occupied space or zone, the floor area, NCC building class, and corresponding total number of operation hours are listed. The number of operation hours where the zone is within the target temperature range is shown. The NCC requires that all occupied spaces have more than 98% of total operation hours within the target temperature range. This is indicated as a pass-fail check for each zone and also as a pass-fail for the building as a whole. The second table in the report shows the results of the thermal comfort check. In this case, to achieve a pass at the building level, the NCC requires that 95% of the occupied floor area achieves a zone level pass condition, which is where 98% of the operation hours have a thermal comfort PMV value in the target range. The table shows how many of the operation hours each zone is below, within, and above the thermal comfort target range, and shows a pass-fail for each space and the whole building based on the NCC conditions. The final table in the report is not required for the NCC, but can be used to refine a building design to achieve enhanced thermal comfort. It shows the same information as the previous table, but for a tighter target range of thermal comfort PMV values. No pass-fail information is shown here, as these results are not required. The report produced by the plugin is an HTML file which is easy to view in a web browser, and the contents of the report can be cut and pasted into other applications such as Microsoft Word. When you have installed the plugin, you will see a new item on the main DesignBuilder menu bar. You use this menu to generate the temperature check and thermal comfort report. But before you can generate a report, you will need to set up your building model and simulation options to produce the data needed by the plugin. Instructions on how to do this are always available for reference by selecting Show Instructions on the menu. For more detailed steps, you can refer to the printed tutorial or this tutorial video available through the DesignBuilder Australia website. To set up your building model so that the plugin can generate a report, you must identify all occupied spaces and their corresponding NCC building class. Each occupied space should have its activity and air conditioning schedules set up so that they are consistent with the assigned building class and use of the space. The plugin needs to identify the NCC building class for each occupied zone to correctly analyse the temperature and thermal comfort values for occupied hours. This is done by including a fixed phrase in the occupancy schedule name for each space that identifies the building class. You can check these phrases by referring to the instructions available in the plugin menu. In this example, the occupied spaces are office spaces, and the corresponding NCC building class is Class 5. So in this example, the name of the occupancy schedule must include the text Class 5. Note that the phrase can appear anywhere in the name. The plugin does not read the assigned schedules in your building model. It assumes that your activity and air conditioning schedules match the building class you have assigned. Before you run a simulation, you also need to set some options to make sure that DesignBuilder calculates and outputs the hourly temperature and thermal comfort values used in the report. When you select Update to run a simulation, first make sure that you are running an annual simulation. Next, on the General tab of the Calculation Options screen, make sure that Hourly is selected under Output Intervals for reporting. You can have other options selected as well. Now select the Output tab. On this tab, under Comfort and Environmental, make sure that the Fanger option is selected. This is the name of the thermal comfort calculation method and includes the thermal comfort values in the simulation output. The next step is to run the annual simulation. When the simulation has finished, DesignBuilder will start loading the results back into the program for analysis. This can take a long time for a large model. If you normally skip this loading step by hitting cancel, you can still do so now. The plugin does not require the simulation results to be loaded into DesignBuilder in order to generate a report. Finally, we are ready to generate the report. Select this option from the plugin menu. You will be warned that the plugin can take some time to read the simulation output for a larger model. This is just a reminder that no progress bar is shown while it is reading the simulation output. After it has read and analysed the output data, the plugin will ask you where you would like to save the generated report. At this point, you can also rename the report. After you have saved, the plugin will attempt to open the report for viewing. This depends on your computer having a browser application associated with HTML file types. If the report does not open automatically, just navigate to the saved file and open it manually. Your usual web browser will be able to display the file. The report is an HTML file. You can copy and paste from the report into Word. If you have long block or zone names, they may appear truncated in the table. Resizing the table will show the complete text. You can resize your browser window or copy and paste the data into Word to adjust the display. If all went well, you should now have a temperature check and thermal comfort report for your building. At this point, it is important to remember that the plugin is only a calculation tool. It is up to you to ensure that you are following all relevant NCC procedures, including setting up your building model correctly and verifying the calculated results produced by the plugin.